Welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm your host, Hilmarie. In the high-performance world of entrepreneurship, we are often programmed to believe that hustle is the only valid operating system. We wear our busyness like a badge of honor, treating rest as a glitch that needs to be patched. But what happens when the ultimate disruption, a life-threatening health crisis, kicks down our door and renders that hustle impossible? Today's guest is a master at navigating that exact uncertainty. Bron Watson spent 30 years at the intersection of nursing and education before leading her own business, a social coach, for over a decade. But her journey took a radical turn when she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018. Followed by a second incurable blood cancer diagnosis in 2023. Instead of retreating, Bron chose a path of bold serenity, founding the Serenity Project to teach others how to build systems that carry the weight when they can't. She's here to help us decode the myth of the relentless grind and show us what human honest resilience actually looks like. Bron, it's an absolute honor to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here.
Bron, you spend your life helping others find calm and connection during their toughest moments through the Serenity Project. But I'd like to start with your own turning point. What was your green pill moment, the action or event that was the turning point for you or your career?
You know, there's been a number, but I'm going to share one that I feel is the biggest epiphany of time. So I had been running my own business since 2012. So I'd have a dual career, as you mentioned before, with nursing and education and then running my own business. And I had built this beast of a business in the mentoring space online. So because I'd been a nurse that had got out of nursing, a lot of people wanted to know, how did I do that? So I had built this mentoring business, doing what everyone told me to do online, grow the online business, do the courses, run the retreats, do the workshops. And so when the diagnosis of breast cancer came, I was wearing this, I had to deliver what I said I was going to deliver, like a badge of honor. So here I am, I'd had my second chemotherapy. So I had had a mastectomy, I had all within a month. And here I am, and I caught a glimpse of myself. I just got off a Facebook Live. So back in the day when we had Facebook groups to run our groups and our masterminds and things in. And I just got off a live and I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. And first of all, I went, oh my gosh, who is that person? Then I realized it's me because I've got this massive round red face. I'm bald. I've got a turban on. And I caught that glimpse and I looked myself in the eye and I went, do you want to die? Because if you keep this up, girl, you're going to die. And I'm a mother of 5 boys. I'm running this business. And that was my green pill moment. I literally shut the mentoring business down overnight with no plan B. And it was a very tough time, in every way, physically, spiritually, mentally, the whole thing. But I literally had in a nanosecond, when I saw what I was doing to myself, it's the first time I looked and went, that's it, Bron. This has to stop.
What an impactful story. Thank you for sharing with such vulnerability and honesty. I appreciate that. Bron, I want to go straight to the heart of your story. As a busy mother of 5, dedicated business owner, you didn't have time for cancer, but it didn't ask permission. Take us back to that first diagnosis in 2018. What was going through your mind about your business, your identity, and your future in those initial chaotic days? What was the internal glitch you had to face when you realized your physical body could no longer keep up with your professional identity?
It was so tough. Anybody who's been through a major trauma or major event, adversity, all comes in different shapes and sizes. So at that time, we were now second chemotherapy and I had shut that business, the mentoring, down overnight, which took weeks because obviously we had lots of clients and lots of moving parts. For anyone who's in business knows that. And the business was the main source of income. So what was going through my mind was literally, how are we going to get through this? How am I going to get through this? I didn't know how financially we were going to get through it. And, we were meant to be building a house. I mean, I couldn't even decide the color of the paint, let alone anything. So we actually sold the land. We thought, no, I can't build a house. I can't do all of the things. Plus, of course, deal with the fallout of cancer and a family. So the business was a priority, but life was a greater priority. So I literally delved with what skill sets did I have? So I looked around and I looked at, this is going to say so cliche, but I looked in my toolbox, like what did I have that I could deliver that could make a few dollars just to keep things going? So I had done some work with this most amazing woman called Jennifer, who had been a very senior part of Barack Obama's second social media campaign. And I'd worked with her for about a year because I'd done marketing for a long, long time, but I wanted to really hone my craft down into social media. I literally started running 4-hour Facebook workshops, bold as a bad jump. I would have chemotherapy. I think it might have been maybe a Wednesday, and I would run workshops on a Tuesday because I had weekly chemo, but it was the Tuesday. It wasn't at my best. I would have been so sick back then. I did what I could with what I had. And a lot of people at the time would say to me, "Oh, Bron, you're so strong." And I would proudly say, another badge, you don't know how strong you are until you have no choice. I was still dealing with the responsibilities of the business, my family, and it was only then that the growth of myself and like my own looking after me started to come through. And that's when I started to look for what I now know, or now what I call serenity. Serenity comes from the serenity prayer. So, God grant me serenity to accept what I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I was even asked the other day, serenity, it was such a passive word. No, it's not. It is anything but passive. But at the time that you're referring to, those days and weeks and months post diagnosis, remembering I was diagnosed on a Thursday afternoon, I'm on operating table the following Wednesday, 6 days later. It was just horrific. I did the best I could with what I had.
Excellent. So you had decided to shut down the one business that was too much for you to handle at that time. What was the psychological driver that made you decide to keep the social coach running during treatment rather than stepping away?
It's a great question. So back in 2018-19, the business was still called Bron Watson. So it was what it was originally called. And I rebranded in about 2022. And even after the blood cancer, that's taken me. It's much, much harder to deal with because obviously it's an incurable cancer this time. Initially, financially, I could not afford to shut it down. And then I don't know whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, but I had this belief that I was not ready to quit. And I used the word quit back then. The chapter was not ready to be closed. And I have to this day the most incredible team who have carried me through those years, especially in the last 5 years. These people who has just pivoted with me as I've moved and changed throughout what we do. And I wasn't ready to say, that's it, I'm done. I think that's why we kept it going. And then even prior to breast cancer, it was booming, like it was back booming again and in beginning of 2023. So it's again had another huge change since then. There's seasons in life, and I wouldn't like to say, because I've done a lot of work on identity, and I wasn't ready to say I'm done. I'm really, really grateful for everything that I've learnt. You can work through these things and at the same time, for me, work on the inner work or the work that really matters, which to me, I call it healing. So for me, I'm on a path of healing, and that healing forms the basis of my business plan now. Where in the back in the day, it would have had numbers, and it still does, but it has all sorts of different things around it, as long as it's in alignment with my healing. And if it's not, I don't do it anymore.
Sorry that you've had to deal with these terrible diseases. Amazing that you've come through them with such a positive spirit. You sound positive, you are positive. And I love that you have created a solution or a system to support other people. You're a beacon of hope for others going through difficult challenges. So well done on that. You make a sharp distinction between being resilient and being relentless. In a corporate culture that often praises the 24/7 grind, why is the relentless model actually a liability when you are in the fight of your life?
So let me explain the best way for me to describe being relentless versus being resilient. I am in Australia, obviously, and I live on acreage. And out the front of my house, there are lots and lots of trees, but two trees that I want to talk about. One of them is the most beautiful old gum tree. Now, this gum tree is tall, it's magnificent, and it's obviously seen the test of time. But this gum tree keeps dropping massive branches, literally. So back in where I am, they used to obviously harvest a lot of wood in the bush. And these trees were called widow makers, which means that the storms would come, do damage that you couldn't see, and then just drop random branches. And I'm talking huge branches. So we've lived in this house a year and we've had 3 major branches fall off this one tree out the front. Just near that tree, there's a willow tree. Nowhere near as magnificent, nowhere near as big, but just as beautiful. Now, a willow tree obviously has those beautiful branches that bend over, and when the storms come, they sway, they move, but nothing falls off. That's the difference between being relentless and being resilient. So relentless is where, for me, when you're pushing, it's the hustle, it's the doing what everyone else thinks you should do. It's all the things that are not in alignment to your health and your well-being. I used to be the relentless girl because that's what I learned. I learned to hustle, I learned to grind, I learned to grow a business successfully, might I add. I followed my mentors beautifully and I'm so proud of that, but at a cost. And I didn't know the cost at the time. So now, whenever I'm feeling or I'm looking at around, I want to be the willow tree. I want to build a business based on resilience, on sustainability, all around for me, health and abundance. So that's why for me, I'm very, very passionate about, and the greatest thing about it is you can learn resilience. You can learn, it's something you can learn, and that forms the foundation of where I'm at the moment with the Serenity project and my book writing and things like that, because we don't need to bust our butts. We don't need to push at the cost of ourselves. And I can tell you now, for anyone who is in that space, you just pause enough to listen to what's happening in your gut or your intuition, call it what you will. You'll know if you spend, is it in alignment? Yes or no? And what are you going to do about it? That's where, for me, resilience, and I'm really grateful. I'm in full remission right now. I got fantastic bloods last week. So it's like a leave pass. So I'm just in a really great space. Health wise, do I know what the future holds? No. But I know that I have this resilience based on sustainable good practices, not on pushing through despite knowing that it was going to harm me. I knew for a long time that business was not a good fit, but I just didn't even listen. I didn't bother because I was doing whatever. I just did it and it worked, but it didn't make it right for me.
I love the visuals that you use there, the 2 different trees and how they respond differently to the weather, and then what resilience means. I liked also how you said that it can be learned. So along those lines, many leaders fear that boundaries or rest mean they aren't committed enough. How do you reframe rest as a strategic business tool rather than a sign of weakness?
Well, rest, if you are pushing beyond, as I said, that sustainable, resilient space, you'll know it. And imagine it's energy, right? So we all have buckets of energy and they do run dry. So if you are not slowing down enough and resting to fill your bucket, you're borrowing from what you don't have yet. And when that happens, the energy has to come from somewhere, right? And so therefore, you are literally running on empty. And with the fuel prices they are right now, you're in trouble. I just think that rest actually in my world is actually part of healing. Rest is part of, you go to Spain. What do they do in the afternoon? They have a siesta. They've got it nailed. And then they're happy to work in the late evening. Yeah, we know it gets hot. But that siesta as part of a culture, that is so good for everybody because everyone is resting. Because you can slow down to speed up. You will actually, like from a energetic, productive space, when you do allow yourself rest, and rest comes in all different shapes and sizes. It doesn't mean go to bed and sleep for 3 hours. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about allowing yourself time to recharge. You have a mobile phone. If you don't charge your phone, if you don't allow to put the thing on charge, what happens? It goes flat and then it's useless. We are no different. It sounds kind of weird to liken myself to a mobile phone. You've got to charge up, right? And it's finding your way to charge up because the way Bron charges up might not be the way you charge up. So what it does is provide you with that energy and that sustainability. And that's where, when adversity comes, whether in business especially, we all get knocks. If you've got a full battery, you're on your game. We all know that. Versus when you are drained and you got a 3% on your battery, you can't perform when you need to. So to me, it's essential. It should be part of business 101. It shouldn't be something that's learned. Other people out there will go, Bron, what are you talking about? I've known that for years. Great. Well, I was too busy working hard to grow a business, especially when you're growing that business. It's finding the balance and it's all about the sustainability, I believe, for me.
I also loved how you said that everyone has to find what works for them. There's not a one size fits all solution to this. So you have to figure out what is it that works for your situation. You're not just saying go and lie in bed and do nothing and put your head in the sand. You've got to find a strategy that actually is going to help you through whatever the crisis is that you're dealing with. To make it really practical for our audience, for someone currently facing a personal or professional crisis, what are 3 specific, immediate things they can do today to keep their business alive without destroying themselves in the process?
Okay, right. 3. Number 1, first thing I would suggest is be where your feet are. Literally look at your feet. Where are you sitting? What are you doing? What this is going to do is bring you back to literally being in the present. You are not ruminating about the past. You are not projecting to the future. You are sitting in the present and you focus on being where your feet are. The next thing I would suggest is look at the emotions that are flowing through you and name it. Is it overwhelm? Is it frustration? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Whatever the emotion is, name it. Because when we are in fight and flight, when we are in that space of when it's all going down or it's a day of overwhelm or, whatever it is, when you name it, when you name this emotion of what you are feeling, and I would very much encourage you to feel the feels. Don't park them for tomorrow. Don't park them for next week. I was really, really good at basically disconnecting my feelings from my reality because I was too busy doing. But when you are where your feet are and when you name what you're feeling, which is feel it, cry, get angry, do whatever you want to do, whatever the feeling is, but you want to name it, you want to feel it. And then we want to control the controllables. What's in your control and what's not. Most of the time with these situations, it's out of your control. And then we want to pause, we want to reflect, and then we respond. And that means you're taking back your power of this situation because you are basing it on what is controllable and what is not. And then you're in a better position to make the next decision. Not next week's decision, but, back in the day, I'd be playing basketball, right? So you and I were on the basketball court and I'm playing basketball and I miss the shot. The coach brings us all off, timeout. The coach has 2 options to either talk about what's just happened or the next play. So just like playing basketball, the third thing, once we've done all of those things, is to what's the next play? Not next week, not the next game, not next month, but literally the next thing. And what that does is it breaks the brain, because a lot of the time the brain has trouble starting things. So it could be that the next thing is, right, send that email, done. It'll automatically start bringing around, because motivation is not a thing. It takes action and then we have motivation, right? So it's just meaning we're doing the next thing. It could be something really small. If you work from home, it could be just putting one thing away from your kitchen bench.
I love that because I think all the best sports players or sports stars have that ability. Even when they've had a bad play or something's gone wrong, they're able to just put the past in the past and just focus on what is the next move. And that makes the difference between somebody who wins or who just doesn't get there. So, just to go over the three that you mentioned, we need to be present in the moment. So, we be where your feet are. Don't ruminate on the past. Don't think about the future. Be where you are. I love that. To be present in the moment. To name your feelings and your emotions. So don't disconnect from them. Recognize what they are and name them. And then control what you can control. So also reminding me back to the Serenity prayer. And then pause, reflect, respond, and take back your power. I absolutely love that.
I was going to say, and sometimes you might need to rinse and repeat 5, 10, 15 times because it doesn't mean that it's going to happen in just one miraculous, oh, well, here we are, we're in a serenity moment. No, we're not. We're still in chaos or we're still in overwhelm. Great, let's do it again. Let's do it again and again until the frontal lobe switches on, and then you can make better decisions.
Yes, and I love your last point, particularly when you said just make even one small step in the right direction. It just starts you to move. You don't have to take on a big thing, but just do one thing in the direction that you want to go. I love that. So, through all that you have gone through, you've maintained an incredible stance of bold serenity and calm strength. When you look at the legacy you are building with the Serenity Project, what is the ultimate message you hope people take away about living a meaningful life, regardless of their circumstances?
What I would love for people to do is literally the first step, which is to be where their feet are and to find their path. Because if you go to the socials, if you go to the internet, you'll find so many million gazillion options that people ask, come and follow this. Like in my world in cancer, come and ground up, almond kernels and that'll cure cancer, or have alkaline water, that's going to cure your cancer. It's about finding what's right for you, because I think that when you find what is right for you for in the moment, because remember, next moment it could be wrong, it could be different. It's understanding. I have this saying, which my beautiful, beautiful friend and mentor who's helped me through this learning space of being able to build the muscle around talking about the things I talk around. I know I will. I don't know how. So I know I will, with Serenity Project, improve the way we treat cancer patients living through cancer. Because right now it's very siloed. Take out the word cancer, insert it into whatever adversity is happening in your life, and use the same principles. So, my legacy there would be to find your serenity, find the word that is for you. So, Paul, my husband, he likes the word the pause. He talks about the pause, and that's his word for his time and space. Because it's not like sitting and doing a meditation and voila, here we are in serenity. No, that is not what it means. It means that when I am making a decision or when I am walking into the Cancer Institute, I am right where I need to be in the present, prepared for the present to be able to make the best decision for me, because that best decision for me is exactly the right one. Whether it's right or wrong is irrelevant. And it's exactly the same for you guys, which is finding that serenity and finding what you know you will. You just don't know how, and letting go of trying to control it all and plan it all out. And just know, when you know that and you do the next thing, it's amazing how the dots just seem to come together.
I love that. I know I will. I don't know how. Excellent.
I don't know how.
Bron, let's bridge the gap between high level vision and grounded execution. We call this the Monday move. You manage a household of 5, a company, the Serenity project, and all the while having gone through all the treatments. And well done. Congratulations. When you said, I forgot to mention, wow, so exciting that you are in remission. It's fantastic.
I'm beyond excited because for the last 5 months, one of the cancer markers has been rising. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Are we going into the next round of active? I'm on a treatment, but active treatment. And they've dropped back to normal. So it's a huge win, unexpected, and in some ways like a miracle. So thank you. I'm celebrating it myself.
That's absolutely amazing. So, getting back to my question, what did you do this past Monday morning to protect your energy and move the needle for your business without overextending your capacity? I don't want the philosophy, I want the protocol.
Alrighty. So I use Claude a fair bit I've trained my Claude. I built my next 90 days, practical 90-day plan for the business because I've just done a bit of a pivot, and I sent it to the team to read ready for our meeting on Monday for tomorrow. So I actually built a 90-day plan, but because I know what my priorities are and I know that in there's my health in there, which is always number one. And yeah, pretty darn excited what it looks like. And yeah, about to ready to delegate the living, what out of it tomorrow. So that's what I did on Monday morning.
I love that. Everyone is talking about Claude. I think if we can tap into AI to do some of the heavy lifting for us, absolutely fantastic. I'm impressed. You've trained your own Claude so that it sets up your 90-day plan. And I love that you've put in the things that's important to you. So it takes that into consideration. Well done.
Yeah, it builds the whole strategy in by quarter. Then it builds that. Then I've made it. Then it's go through the main parts of what I want to do, and then it breaks it into weekly. Then it gives me all the tasks that I then can delegate to the team and mine too. But it means that I'm not in overwhelm. Like I haven't just spent 5,000 hours doing it. It's literally done in half an hour.
Fantastic. Well done. Excellent. Next is our decision inventory. We all make thousands of decisions, but a few define our trajectory. Can you tell us about a time you had to make the difficult decision to walk away from a major business opportunity or a demanding client because it threatened your peace? What did that no cost you in the short term, and what did you gain in the long run?
I've done numerous versions of this, to be honest, over the last 5 years. In terms of clients and business, if it's not in alignment, I do what I call bless and release. So financially, it's going to impact, obviously, short term. But I also believe when I bless and release, that I am allowing space for even more amazing humans to come into my world, AKA clients. It just does. And yeah, because I've done the whole when it's not in alignment, it never ends well. Well, for me, it never ended well. I always ended up with a chaotic, revolting situation. Will never ever happen again. I will not allow it.
Yeah, so the lesson for our audience is don't be afraid to make those tough decisions because in the short run, they can be difficult. As you say, financially, it could be a challenge, but it never ends up being bad in the long run. Every time it was the right decision that you made.
Absolutely. And I made it right. So that's the whole point. When we make decisions for ourselves, we make it right if we stand 100% and back ourselves on that decision. When you put it out there, it comes back. In social media, what you put out energetically comes back, right? I have definitive proof to share with that. But yeah, to me, it's a non negotiable.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Now we have come to the segment of our show where I will ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Sure, let's go.
Okay, this first one's a bit long, so let's see how short we can keep it. As someone who mentors other female founders, what is the most dangerous misconception you see about resilience, especially among women entrepreneurs who feel pressure to hold everything together perfectly?
What came up quickly for me is the mask. Women are so good at masking what's really going on underneath. And I would love to see a world where entrepreneurs and women build ourselves up, where we do not need to mask and that we can speak our truth. Because when we speak our truth, really good stuff happens.
Yes, I had a guest not that long ago also speak about this, being willing to use our voice, speaking out what we're thinking rather than always trying to be so perfect about everything around us. I love that.
Absolutely. Exactly that.
What is the absolute worst piece of advice people give to someone in crisis?
You'll be fine. You'll be right. My Aunt Mary got through that. So, you'll be right, Bron. Do not ever say you'll be right. You don't know, and it's fake words and it lands really badly, especially when you multiply it out by 100.
So, what's a better phrase to use? I think we all feel a bit awkward when someone is going through a difficult time. So, what is a better way to approach?
The way I approach it for me is I acknowledge, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. It must really suck. And how can I support you? Not how can I help? If you just ring me, it's how can I support? And I acknowledge. If we just acknowledge, it's going to go a long way.
I like that. That was very practical. I think that's one of the key takeaways I've had today from this conversation. I love it. A mantra or phrase that keeps you going on the hard days.
Be where my feet are. It just brings me back to where I need to be.
And I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. One business tool or app you couldn't run your agency without.
Well, it's my little friend Claude. There's loads of tools, Gemini, Copilot. There's so many. Find whatever you want. For me, I find that it's a cracking tool when you feed it the skills, and it's super cool. Does lots of cool stuff.
I'm going to have to look into it. I use Gemini. I like it a lot. I use Notebook LLM. I like it a lot, but I'm going to have to try. I just hear everyone talking, saying such good things about Claude.
For me at the moment, I mean, who knows? Give it another 6 months, it might be different. But it's just it doesn't ruminate and it doesn't go off on tangents. It just seems to be a lot more factual. I think maybe it's the way I've trained it. But for me, I'm finding it better in the marketing space. But everyone's got to try whatever's right for them.
One book or podcast that always lifts your spirits.
Well, I've just seen Mel Robbins live. And she's a cracking woman. She's exactly what she was. And she reads her own book. And I love authors who actually read their own book for Audible. So I'm going to go with Let Them by Mel Robbins.
What's something you wish more people understood about chronic illness?
What I wish people understood about chronic illness is just to have acknowledgement of that person. And like I had someone say to me the other day, like I haven't been touched by cancer and I haven't been. I'm going, okay, well, that's great. Well done, you. Everyone's been touched by adversity. So when it comes to chronic illness, you can't fix it. The person may not be able to fix it, but they're doing their darndest. So if we could acknowledge people who are absolutely, when they're fighting for their lives, we should be literally along imagine like a triathlon. And, we're along the lines of the paths and we're cheering people on. That's what we should be doing with those people with chronic illness. When I say ostracized, they're not being excluded by literally being ostracized, but exclusion by that they're just not in the lane of what the world perceives to be as normal. It's a very different place. Remembering I've been a nurse educator, so I've been on one side of the bed and now I'm in the one in it. It's very, very different when you're in it in a long-term marathon-y kind of way.
A favorite way you practice serenity or self-care?
One thing I love, do you remember back in the 90s a book called The Artist Way? It's a book that she's like this program and she talks about morning pages, which is really journaling, but it's morning pages. And so one thing I do for me is, and you write down whatever's in your head. You don't write to-do lists. You're just writing. Sometimes even you're writing, well, I don't really know what to write, but I'm just writing because it's about writing 3 pages. And no, most mornings, not all mornings, I will write my morning pages. I think it's just a great way to get out your thoughts out of your brain. It's a psychological thing as well, especially in education. When you write things down, it takes it out of your thought processes and just separates you from the whirling and the rumination. Yeah, I cannot speak highly enough. So people talk about journaling, I just call it morning pages.
Excellent. Bron, we have one final tradition. We call it the green pill reflection. I'm going to ask you one thing that might feel a bit unsettling. I'm going to ask for the truth, not the PR answer. You have become a lighthouse for so many people through the Serenity Project, teaching them how to find calm in the middle of a storm that has no end date. But being the strong one can be its own kind of cage. What is one truth about your own fear or your own glitchy days that you feel you have to hide so that you can keep being the leader everyone else needs you to be?
I absolutely have bad days. Good days, bad days. The difference between what I even call the old Bron and this Bron is that on those days, I allow myself to do whatever I need to do to heal on the day. Everything that I talk about, I do for me, right? So I'm sharing with whatever people want to take away, they take away. I don't share because I want to make people better. I'm sharing to provide awareness for someone to find their own serenity. So I am so within my own serenity. Like, I'm not the Serenity Project. I'm Bron, the mother of five. I've got the businesses and da 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 da. It's part of my mission. And on the bad days, I'll cancel everything if I have to. Not a problem at all. I have no guilt around it because my health and my well-being and my healing path are my number one. And it always seems to work out. And yeah, lots of bad days. Don't you worry about that.
Well, thank you so much for your honesty and for being human honest with us today. It's a privilege to witness your journey. Bron, for the listeners who want to learn more about your work at the Social Coach or find the support of the Serenity Project, where is the best place for them to find and follow you?
I think the best way, obviously, if it's Serenity Project, so serenityproject.com.au, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Insta, come find me, just Bron Watson, you'll find me there. Any questions, please let me know. And whether it be business or whether it be adversity, more than happy, I answer every question. So, because everyone has different parts of where they're at. So if I don't know something, I'll know someone who does. So that's probably the best way. Reach out, LinkedIn, wherever. And I look forward to catching up with you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We'll also add these to the show notes. To our audience, if today's conversation resonated with you, please follow the show and leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more people navigating their own challenges and searching for strength, clarity, and connection. Until next time, delete the defaults, protect your peace, and keep building with courage when life doesn't go to plan. If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.